Edward Plunkett, the 18th Baron Dunsany, was an Anglo-Irish short story writer and dramatist who excelled in a variety of genres, but who is nowadays chiefly remembered as the founder of modern fantasy fiction. He influenced J.R.R. Tolkien, Robert E. Howard, and Ursula Le Guin, amongst others. Ernest Hemingway described him as great, and towards the end of his life, he was nominated for the Nobel Prize for Literature. He was born in London in 1878 and he died in Dublin in 1957 at the age of 79. Penguin's 2004 selection of his work, In the Land of Time and Other Fantasy Tales, spans the whole of his career and contains an invaluable introduction. It begins with Dunsany's first collection, published in 1905, which outlines an imaginary pantheon. The Gods of Pegana is original and well written. Dunsany's archaic style amplifies the strangeness, but it's not his most important achievement. That's to be found, at least in a representative selection, in the second, third and fourth sections of the Penguin selection, 24 stories in all, covering just under half the book as a whole. These are mostly taken from 5 groundbreaking books he wrote between 1908 and 1916, beginning with The Sword of Welleran and Other Stories, and ending with Tales of Wonder. They contain centaurs, sorcerers, fairies, elves, heroic warriors, enchanted swords, and of course dragons. The characters have names like Walwolf, Father of War, Gadriel the Loyal, Princess Saranura, King Camarog. They inhabit locations like Perdondaris, the ancient crags of Glorm, and the fortress Unvanquishable. There's a distinctly Arabian Nights flavour to Dunsany's fantasy worlds: scimitars, desert robbers, camel guards, incense, ivory palaces, turbans, silken robes, which might seem to open him up to charges of what Edward Said called Orientalism. Only there's nothing malign in his creations. Yes, they're highly exotic, but Europeans have been exoticising their own culture for over a century by the time Dunsany appeared on the scene. One only need read The Hunchback of Notre Dame and The Mysteries of Udolpho to see that. Why isn't Dunsany better known? Possibly because he was a short story writer. Short story writers never get much attention. In the unjustly neglected league table, they're second only to poets. But also because, if today's exemplars of the genre are anything to go by, fantasy is best served by multi-novel epics, the very opposite of what Dunsany was doing. Some people might object at this point. They'll say Dunsany didn't lay the foundations of the fantasy genre. That was done by pre-modern epics like the Odyssey and Beowulf. All Dunsany did was revive that model. I'd argue that there's no such thing as a pure revival. As is always true, today's art can only succeed on today's terms. So any revival of ancient art forms can only ever be a revamp. That there has been a successful revival/revamp, however, is indisputable, and historically Dunsany almost certainly deserves much of the credit for that.